Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session titled Youth SDG Champions are Key to a Sustainable Future, where we explore the key roles youths can play in driving the sustainability agenda and the importance of ASEAN youth in championing sustainable development goals as key to a sustainable future. We'll begin this session with an address, followed by a fireside chat on the topic. May I now invite Minister Grace Fu, Minister for Sustainability and the Environment, to deliver her address. Minister, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. I thank Global Compact Network Singapore for organizing this virtual summit and for inviting me to join you. Our generation is facing challenges on multiple fronts. The COVID-19 pandemic has had devastating impact on our lives and led to loss of jobs and income. The government has set aside close to $100 billion for COVID-19 support packages for our people and businesses, and we intend to spend another $8 billion to save jobs, create new ones, and seize new growth opportunities. Even as we do this, however, we need to push on in our fight against climate change, which will be the crisis of many generations. Last month, the World Meteorological Organization, a United Nations agency, reported that global warming could exceed the key threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2024, far sooner than scientists had earlier predicted. I'm sure many of you would have been alarmed by the dramatic photo of an ice block larger than the size of Paris breaking off from Greenland's glacier. And unless global carbon greenhouse gas emissions drop sharply this decade, there will be little chance of limiting warming to safer limits. As we recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have an opportunity to reflect on the lessons learned, incorporate them in our way forward. This will enable us to emerge from this crisis stronger and build the Singapore we want for our future generations. As GCNS puts it, this is the decade for decisive action. The government will push for a green recovery to support a competitive transition to a low-carbon and climate-resilient future. We are putting in place energy efficiency schemes to help our companies transform to be best-in-class globally in energy and carbon efficiency. We are also partnering the industry and our research community to study the visibility of low-carbon technologies such as carbon capture, utilization, and storage, and use of low-carbon hydrogen. We will continue to work with industry stakeholders to maximize solar deployment on the rooftop of private industrial and commercial buildings to meet our solar target of at least 2 GWP by 2030. We will continue to invest in climate science to enable the development of meaningful solutions to tackle climate change. We have launched a $10 million national sea level research program to develop more robust projections of rising sea levels, and we have set aside an initial funding of $5 billion for the Coastal and Flood Protection Fund to protect Singapore against rising sea levels. By the end of this year, we will set up a climate science research program office to drive efforts to formulate Singapore's national climate science research master plan. Climate change will affect access to critical resources, including water and food. We will strengthen our water and food security by investing in weather-resilient sources and producing more with less. We will work with industry and community partners to address our key waste streams and pursue circular economy approaches. New jobs and opportunities will be created for our people through these efforts. Climate change is a global challenge that requires collective action by everyone: governments, businesses, civil society, and individuals of all ages. Our youth, as leaders of today and tomorrow, play an important role in shaping the future, not just for this generation, but the next. I'm glad to see many youth rising to the challenge. I understand that the program for the youth track at this summit was conceptualized, planned, and implemented by the Youth Organizing Committee. Youth can be powerful agents of change. Let me share 3 ways you can make a difference. First, you can reduce your individual impact on the environment by consciously looking at what you are purchasing and consuming each day. Find ways to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Order only what you can finish eating to help reduce food waste. Bring your own bag the next time you go shopping to reduce the use of disposable bags. Recycle your electronic products instead of throwing them in the bin. Our individual actions may seem insignificant, but the sum of our individual actions can make a difference. Second, influence those around you to do the same. Many youths are stepping up to organize movements and initiate projects to rally people to be part of the solution. Singapore Youth for Climate Action, for example, recently produced a citizen's guide to disposing e-waste in Singapore. Zero Waste Singapore, a youth-led non-governmental organization, drives the Bring Your Own Singapore movement, which works with retailers to offer incentives to customers to bring their own reusable bags, bottles, and containers. I'm encouraged by their passion and others like them. The recipients of the Young Leaders SDG Awards have also embarked on very interesting projects. I look forward to meeting them later. Third, learn from one another. There are youth from different ASEAN countries in the audience today. Each of our countries has our own national priorities and circumstances, but there is much we can learn from one another in our common pursuit of sustainability. I hope everyone will be generous in sharing your unique experiences and perspectives in this summit. Let me conclude. The road to recovery and sustainability may be long, but I believe we can overcome the challenges if we work together as one united people and stay the course. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. May I now please invite you to take your seat for the fireside chat. I'm also going to invite our moderator for the chat, Ms Esther An, Chief Sustainability Officer from City Developments Limited, to join us. Over to you, Esther.
Good morning, Minister. It is a great honor to have you here to share how youth SDG champions can play a key role to drive a sustainable future for all. And in fact, stakeholders of all ages in the public, private, and people sectors can play a part to help the world recover from climate, health, social, and economic challenges. And just now, Minister, shared in your speech and in other earlier speeches also, you say that the challenges of COVID-19 and climate change, together with other trade and environmental pressures, pose a threat to Singapore's supply of critical resources such as food and water. We will ensure that Singapore's critical resources remain uncompromised for both present and future generations. This is really very encouraging and very assuring for the younger generation especially. And this also complements Singapore's visions of making Singapore a city in nature, offering clean, green, and livable environment for most, and most importantly, a sustainable future for many more generations to come. So let's start this fireside chat with some big picture questions. Ministers, we just have a renaming of the former Ministry for the Environment and Water Resources to the Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment. We were just wondering what were the key drivers behind this name change, and what could we expect of the changes, to the mission and role of this ministry, and what will be the top priorities in the short term and the long term?
Thank you, Esther. I mean, those are very good questions to start this conversation. I think indeed you're right. Sustainability actually has become such an important topic that I think it is being embraced, but just by businesses, by individuals, by government. And if you look at Singapore's governance over the last 5 decades, environmental protection has always been an important part. We talked about, greening our city. We used to be known as the garden city, if you recall. We clean up Singapore River, for example. Environmental protection, cleanliness, clean air has always been an important part of Singapore's government strategy. But what has happened in the last 5-10 years is that this issue about sustainability actually has become to the fore, where people realize that actually collectively governments all around the world need to do something more than protecting the environment. It's about developing the society, growing the economy in a sustainable way, which means that if we can have economic growth with less resources, we should. If we can develop with less impact on the environment, we should. And we should go one step forward to make sustainability really the core of the government's policy. And that's exactly what's happening in Singapore. By having sustainability in the ministry's name, it reflects the centrality of the theme. And also we're going to make this in many, many things that we do, not just in the ministry, but in the government's decision, in the government's policy. We hope to have a sustainable element in all the policies. And if you'd ask us about what is going to be so exciting, it's really the fact that we are thinking long-term while we address some of our short-term challenges. As you know, we are still in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Personal hygiene, public sanitation, these are clearly important issues for us. So in the short run, very clear focus on cleanliness, but in the medium to long term, focus on sustainability and also on sustainable growth.
Wonderful. Well, Singapore has always been a global hub, and we have always been supportive of climate action and even the UN SDGs with the vision and mission. How would you see the ministry align with all these global goals? And among 17 goals, 169 targets, I'm sure there are some certain priorities, that you are setting. And with the Ministry of Sustainability, as the name, would you see that you are assuming a lead role to coordinate with other agencies to push the agenda of this very broad sustainability, action?
Yes. So the United Nations Framework for Sustainable Development Goal is a very comprehensive one. It actually guides governments around the world on strategies to achieve sustainable growth and encompasses many, many areas that we do. The good thing in Singapore is that we've already done many of the things that SDG encompasses. So for example, on education, on healthcare, on good growth and good jobs, I think that have always been the priorities of the government. So in a way, MSE has less of an issue to try to get congruence in our goals because we are already working in the same direction. But you're right in the sense that there are 17 goals, and we need to harmonize our work across agencies and make sure that we are all moving in the same direction. And where there are conflicts, we need to prioritize, we need to negotiate a good outcome between the agencies and the governments. And MSE does that, pulling in the agencies together. More than 30 ministries and agencies are on this sustainable development goals. And we do that by getting a report in 2018, submitting our own voluntary report on sustainability, bringing together all the agencies that are involved. And at the United Nations Forum, MSE and MFA, we are the two agencies to lead our work on SDGs. We want to not only just satisfy ourselves that we are looking at developmental goals in a very holistic and sustainable way, in a balanced way, not achieving social goals solely, but also achieving economic goals and also environmental goals at the same time. But we also want to play an active and useful role internationally because we believe that issues such as climate change is not something that any single government or country can resolve. It takes collective actions, and for a small island state, it's very important for us to be out there in the global arena to send a message for important actions and also for mind share and attention on climate change issues. So we not only want to do that locally, but we also want to play a useful role internationally.
Wonderful. Minister, we all know that resources are key, to drive action. Just now in your speech, you say that we all have to do more with less. But no matter how less, we still need resources. So what is your, MSE's plan to pull more resources together, whether it is ideas, funding, or innovation technology? How do you engage not just the public sector, but the private sector and the people sectors? In the audience, we have a lot of businesses here, and I think the questions in a lot of business, leaders' mind is like, how will government be able to incentivize or encourage, businesses to adopt best practices to move forward the sustainability agenda?
I think that's a very good question, Esther. Indeed, I think many of the corporations have come to realize that having sustainable growth and having a focus on sustainability is good for businesses, because the future is pointing us that way, that in order to live in a future-ready world, we need to think about things like resources, energy, how can we have a better answer to all the climatic problems that we have, so that we are ready for the future that's going to confront us. So many corporations are already adopting sustainability as one of their corporate social responsibility. In fact, many of them are looking at it also as a new business, as a new form of business. So that's a good part. Second part, from the government's point of view, we will look at, first of all, how to encourage them through grant schemes. There are many grant schemes available, for example, from energy efficiency of your building. If you're thinking about, refurbishing your building and you want to look at replacing your air conditioner, your air chillers, which one would you choose? We want to put some grant scheme to encourage you to go for the energy efficient one. If you want to look at how you can participate in, community projects, we will have some grant schemes that encourage you to play in the 3P space, part of, being a good corporate citizen. If you're thinking about, installing some wastewater treatment in your plants, in your factory, we will also have some scheme to help you to adopt some of these wastewater treatment facilities. So we have various grant schemes to help company hopefully make the right decision for themselves and for the environment. But we also want to, in a way, make some of the costs of externalities in their business decision. So for example, like carbon tax. We all know that we need some costs out there to make it transparent to businesses in looking and thinking about energy efficiency. Because having fossil fuels, consuming energy has a cost on environment. It costs greenhouse gases, it costs global warming. So we need to find a way to cost those externalities in their business decisions. So we will also have legislations and taxes where appropriate to make some of these externalities more apparently costed. And the third part is actually with direct incentive on research, for example. Actually, there's one area where many of the academias, the universities, and even companies that's involved in research can play. Because in this sphere of energy, food, water, resilience, there's so much that we can do with technology, and there's so much we can harness from it. So we want to be out there to invest in research, co-invest with companies also, and also allow a space where we can have some policy sandboxes for companies to, in a way, showcase their product and, participate in the implementation. So these are all areas that we hope that we can encourage businesses to participating in a sustainable arena. More importantly, it's actually the individual's action. I think there are tremendous creativity and energy in each one of us. And I would never want to underestimate the power of individuals' leadership and action. So whether you are a youth, or whether you are a business leader, or whether you are leading a team implementing a project, I think by just putting a hat on sustainability or just watching your actions and its impact on the environment, I think that will go a long way to steer the society towards a more sustainable future. It's all of us signaling through our actions, through our purchasing decisions, what is right and what is wrong for the environment. And I think each of us can really make a say in this area.
Indeed, I mean, businesses have a very, large value chain from upstream, investors, regulators, and, the manufacturer, downstreams to consumers. I believe that consumer activism is going to be, driving sustainability practices moving forward. And for the young leaders or young champion here, they were very happy to, hear your speech that talking about green jobs. Yeah, okay, and jobs are really our key concern. So really good news that you share that in the next 10 years, there will be 55,000 jobs, to be created in Singapore. Okay, how would you encourage or give some tips to our young audience here to be better prepare themselves to have a share of this type of green jobs?
Well, first of all, 55 jobs, some of them are new, completely new in industries that it's emerging very quickly, and some of them are in existing industries, but they will be enlarged and they will be upscaled so that it's better value for everybody. So we are looking at more, for example, more jobs being created in the food industry. As you know, in the agri-tech industry, we are investing in our own local production capability. We have just announced our grants for 9 projects, where government will provide the funding to encourage companies to get into the agri-tech arena. We hope that by 2030, we are able to produce 30% of our local nutritional needs. So vertical farming, land-based fish farm, for example, in our own egg farm. How do we produce more intensively with a limited land and also more energy and water efficient? I think these are all new technologies that we are very, very keen, and there will be a whole range of jobs along that area. And also in our cleaning, public hygiene, and food hygiene, we intend to increase the level of competency and capability in these jobs, because I think going forward, this pandemic has taught us the importance of having a clean environment in our daily lives.
Precisely, yeah.
When we have a COVID infection case, what do? We send in the cleaners to disinfect the place. So we think that going forward, a highly skilled cleaning industry, food hygiene industry, I think is important. And we look forward to one where the food industries themselves, the F&B, the hotel industries have high standard of hygiene that are able to protect ourselves from public health threats. So these are all areas where we think that will be good paying jobs coming our way, and even in some areas where our young people will be very excited in, which is in areas such as climate adaptation and in research into climate changes such as seawater rising and so on. So these are all very, very exciting areas where we think that there are good paying jobs there.
Yeah, precisely. It sounds really exciting. And Minister, you're very right that no one entity can save the world alone. So collaboration, partnership can really amplify ideas, resources, action, and hopefully positive impact. So MSE is very, very strong in collaboration, driving the public sector, private sector, and even grassroots communities together. So do you have any plan looking ahead of how to collaborate on the international level, regional level, and the local level?
I think in the international level, we definitely want to be a responsible and active player. We have been very active on the UN FCCC arena. We play an active role also with the COP parties because we believe that we need international collective action, and we like to really be that facilitative party to get everybody together and hopefully come up with some agreeable targets. We want to be there. So we have been actively participating, and also we think that in some areas, we don't claim to be an expert in all areas, but in some areas where we can, we're also very happy to provide training courses and also some consultancy for countries in, that are interested. So we have been doing so, and hopefully in that process, raise the level of competency and capability in the area of climate change, in the area of environmental protection. At the regional level, we also like to play an active role. So in the ASEAN circuit, we've always been there, and we've always been, urging collective action and collective agreement. And again, also encouraging our youth to be active participants on the ASEAN circuit with their counterparts. Whether it's through NYC or whether it's through MFA, we hope to see our youth plug in to the network, understand the landscape, understand the needs of the ASEAN counterparts, and also establish network with their counterparts. Because I think global issues require global collective actions, and we cannot reach that collective actions if we do not understand each other. ASEAN countries are very different. We are different in sizes, we are different in economic sectors, we are different in our stages of development, our needs are totally different. So in order for us to reach an agreement, our people must understand ASEAN better. And I think we want to provide opportunities for our young people to understand ASEAN, to understand their counterparts better. And I think the most important thing, as you rightly put, is that even solutions locally is not something that the government can do it alone. We need to find solutions. The solutions, the resources, as you earlier put, are residing in the companies, are residing in the universities, are residing in individuals. So how do we come up with the best optimal solution? Really is about the skills to collaborate and to cooperate with one another. And that really is something that we as a government want to do in MSE and in other ministries. We want to be a more collaborative government, not just listening, but going out to engage the public, getting feedback and having a dialogue. But more importantly, is to move into the action phase. It's not enough just to, I hear you, I want your ideas, but how do I facilitate a space for you to participate and for you to influence, for you to make changes? I think co-creating is a key word. That we want in the future opportunities for our local businesses, for our locals, our local youth to play a part in co-creating solutions for all of us. Because we believe that we do not have a monopoly of ideas, and we do not have monopoly of resources and also technologies. And technologies are moving so quickly that I'm sure someone from the adjacent industry or adjacent ministry will find quick wins for us if we allow them to do so. So I think we need to open up, and we need to have that avenue for collaborative work going forward. And I very much look forward to working with the youth, working with corporations like CDL to find win-win solution for all of us.
Certainly, we have always been very key partners in, we collaborate with international, the UN agency, public sector, private sector, and even many NGOs. And in fact, really collective wisdom and collective action. That is how we can accelerate change. Okay, Minister, thank you so much for all the exciting, plan of MSE. I would really like to close this chat with something personal. You have been a pioneer or champion in many ways. And in 2015, you made history, right? You became the first woman in Singapore to helm a ministry of your own as a full minister. And at the same time, this was also the first time in Singapore's parliamentary history that you also assumed the role as the leader of the House, the first woman to be given this appointment. So this is really, really exciting for youth audience here, especially the ladies in the very dominated, sectors. So we really would like to see, even for us as corporate partner, we have always seen you in action. Your dynamism and dedication is is very evident. And you have actually championed many causes in your various portfolio, including green building, environmental conservation, construction productivity, sports and health programs, community and youth engagement, and women empowerment as well. So these are all part and parcel of the overall sustainability agenda. I think you are really in the right position to drive this sustainable development forward. And but I wouldn't say that it's always a bed of roses, right? There must be some key challenges that you have encountered over the years. Maybe you can share with us some of the your anecdotes. How do you overcome all these challenges? And how do you want to inspire more young leaders, men or women, to follow your footsteps, to champion worthy causes?
Well, thank you very much, Esther. I really do not deserve the generous words that you have given me.
Those are all facts.
But I would say that I think each one of us have that potential. And I think as government leaders, it is my job to provide the environment for individuals to really realize their potential. And in realizing the potential, I think we have to sometimes give ourselves the opportunity. Very often we hold ourselves back, especially women, because we're always worried about expectations that we're unable to meet or failures that we may encounter. And very often it's about giving yourself the chance and having the confidence and say, it's okay, let's give it a go, and if I fail, I can pick myself up, I can learn from the mistake, and I can do better the next time. Sometimes it's not take ourselves too seriously, but give ourselves an opportunity to try. And I think that itself has at least pushed me to go into areas that I will call uncharted waters. Because I don't like to take no for an answer. I don't like people to tell me that this is what you cannot do. And I always think that if there is a way, there's a will, there's a way. So, and I would encourage all the young people around us to think about the legacy, who you are and what legacy would you leave behind. Every one of us has the potential to leave behind a legacy. And I think we should work towards that so that our lives on this earth is meaningful. I like to leave behind a Singapore that has a strong identity. I've always been very proud of Singapore's art and culture. We believe that, I believe that our multiculturalism is very interesting, and we have some uniqueness in us Singaporeans. But I think going forward also, my legacy, I hope, is to leave behind a more sustainable Singapore, where the future for our younger people, for the next generation and generation after that, is actually better than this one. And when we can do that, then I think we have make a difference and make an improvement to the world.
Wow, sounds really encouraging to know for the young leaders here in our audience. And really thank you so much, Minister, for the very candid and enlightening conversation. And youth today are really vocal in voicing their opinion, and also they are very prepared to play a key role to be a part in building a world they want. So the biggest threat to the future or to the climate is really like someone else is doing it, or let someone else do it, or not really driving it forward. And well, like you said, Minister, with greater collaboration, partnership, our world can be healed and become cleaner, greener, and more sustainable. Thank you once again, Minister, and thank you all the audience, and enjoy the rest of the summit. And I'm handing it back to Ricardo. Thank you so much. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Minister and Esther, for that wide-ranging and very passionate conversation. We will now proceed to the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Award 2020 virtual prize presentation ceremony. Celebrating 10 years of the Young SDG Leaders Award, this case-based competition hopes to cultivate a new generation of young leaders to champion a sustainable future for Singapore and beyond. This competition not only enables students to have a greater understanding of corporate social responsibility and sustainability principles, but it also provides youth with a platform to execute sustainability practices within a real-life business scenario. This year, the competition attracted 64 teams from various education institutions. 10 finalist teams were given practical work attachments with their assigned case companies and mentorship by winners in the previous editions of the competition. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now present the winners of the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Award 2020. I'll now like to invite Minister Grace Fu as well as Esther back on stage to join me for the awards. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now announce the winners of the award, an undoubted highlight of our summit this year. I'm going to invite Minister Grace Fu to first announce our second runner-up. The second runner-up of the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Award 2020 goes to
Team Supreme.
Congratulations! Now, Team Supreme from Nanyang Technological University was attached to the China Navigation Company. Their proposal provides recommendations for two key business scopes: decarbonization and diversity and inclusion, which are expected to enhance the synergies among firm infrastructure, human resource management, and operations, while improving CNC's sustainability practices. Congratulations once again, Team Supreme. Now I'm going to get Minister to announce our first runner-up. The first runner-up of the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Award goes to
Team Greenpeace.
Congratulations! Now, Team Greenpeace sees unique representation with members from National University of Singapore, Singapore Management University, and the Singapore University of Social Sciences. The team was attached to Dow Chemical Pacific Singapore and looked at how the company can scale up and ensure sustainability throughout the entire life cycle of plastics by utilizing material science and civic engagement. Congratulations, Team Greenpeace! Wow, I'm really excited now because we are going to announce the champion of the awards. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the champion of the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Award 2020 goes to
Team First Class.
Now, Team First Class sees member representation from the National University of Singapore, the Nanyang Technological University, the Singapore Management University, and the London School of Economics. The team was attached at Sembcorp Marine Limited, and they looked at how the company can expand new growth areas through renewable energy, education, and emissions data collection to improve business operations and to achieve their sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, our champions, Team First Class. Well done, guys. Congratulations to all our winning teams, Team First Class, Team Greenpeace, and Team Supreme. I'm now going to invite everybody back on screen to take a group photograph. Congratulations, everybody. All right, thumbs up to the camera. Thumbs up to the camera, big smiles. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Esther, for your time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have now come to the end of the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Awards 2020 virtual prize presentation. Thank you, Minister, Ms Esther An, and all our winning teams for joining us today. We also like to specially thank all the student teams who have joined right from the beginning of the competition. Stay tuned for more updates on the CDL GCNS Young SDG Leaders Awards.